Hi, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to CPC. Thank you all for coming. We have a quorum, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Victoria Labreeze. I'm the chair of CPC, and we are going to go ahead and call the meeting to order and take the attendance. So as I call your community name, would you please answer that you're present and with your name, if you will. So we'll start with Barrio Logan. Carmel Mountain Range. Toyas Valley Encanto. Present. Sage. Solid Spalding. That Toyas Valley? Yeah. Sorry, I just marked it. City Heights. Claremont.
Here, President Matthew Wang.
Thank you, Matthew. College area?
Here, Robert Montana.
Del Mar Mesa. Downtown. Eastern.
Laura. All right.
Oh,
For whatever reason, I didn't hear my name. Here.
thank you, Laura. Greater Golden Hill.
Brendan.
Kearney Mesa. Kensington Talmadge.
David Modi here.
La Jolla. Linda Vista. Here, Felicity Sinofsky. Midway. Mira Mesa.
Jeff Stevens and Mira Mesa, I'm here.
Thank you, Mira Mesa. Mission Beach. Mission Valley.
Michelle Addington, Mission Valley, present.
Navajo.
Kevin Sullivan.
Normal Heights.
Present. Paul Coogan.
North Park.
Lynn Elliott, present.
Ocean Beach. Old Town. Otay Mesa.
Here.
Thank you. Otay Mesa Nestor. Pacific Beach.
Here.
Who's that for Pacific Beach?
Oh, Marcella.
Thank you, Marcella. Peninsula.
Can't see.
Eric Lawson.
Rancho Bernardo.
Here, Becky Rock.
Rancho Penasquitos.
John Becker here.
San Pasquale Hodges. San Ysidro. Scripps Ranch is here. Victoria Labreeze. Sarah Mesa.
Present.
And who's present, please?
This Deb Burns filling in for Chris or Cindy.
Thank you. Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't get off mute. Adriana Castañeda. I'm here from San Isidro Community Planning Board.
Okay, thank you.
Here too.
Sarah Mesa.
Carmel Valley.
Oh, Jeff. Is that oh, Carmel Valley. Okay, I'll come back to you, Jeff. Skyline Paradise Hills.
There.
Guy, thank you. Southeastern. Tierra Santa. Torrey Hills. Torrey Pines.
Present, Liz Jones.
Liz. University.
Yeah, Chris Nielsen for University.
Uptown.
Present. Matt Schreiber.
Thank you, Anna. Okay, those on Zoom that have just come in, if you're representing your CPG, so Carmel Valley was one, yes?
Andrew just joined.
Yes.
Andrea?
I just logged on Zoom.
All right, did anybody else on Zoom join that is representing their community?
Lisa Creedeman from La Jolla.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. All right. That's a great number. Okay, thank you all for coming. And we are going to move right on. We've got a quick, busy schedule, as you've probably seen on the agenda. So we're going to go ahead and first ask if there's any modifications to the agenda.
I move that we accept the agenda.
Okay, second.
By Navajo.
Now we have it. Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you.
Jasper on Zoom, just any opposed.
Yeah, any opposed on Zoom?
I see one hand raised for
Is that
Jeff.
Jeff?
Is that an opposition, Jeff?
No, I'm not in opposition. I'm sorry. Forget that.
No problem. Okay, we're gonna move on to non-agenda public comment. We're gonna be doing 2 minutes per person that wants to do a non-agenda public comment, and we will keep it at that 2 minutes. So if we have anybody for non-agenda public comment, please let me know. Yeah, come on up.
Maureen Diaz, that's the Hammershaw. And I would like this board to add to the agenda an accurate map. I'm going to email a PowerPoint because it's pathetic that the city of San Diego will not comply with community names listed in the Skyline Paradise Hills Community Plan, which is Hammershaw. The city of San Diego calls it Hammershaw-Lameda, and there is no such community named that. Stormwater, nice, a high executive in stormwater put in writing, because I don't speak verbally to the city, put in writing that she cannot use the community plan map, that she has to use the map approved by the city. And I said, but the city approves the community plan with the map. No, we can only use the city. So knowing that the map's wrong, they can't use it. The Skyline Paradise Hills has 6 communities, but they're using 5. So I want that on the agenda. And just for an update, if anyone received an email from ADU bonus, it's inaccurate. The project 1441 Woodrow Ave has not been rejected. It took a long time to pay. They were overdue. Preliminary was closed and reopened. They paid August 14th, right before the August 22nd deadline, so that they could get the application in, which is the application that says the lot's vacant when there's not only a house, but another large shed. There's 2 things on the property, which I showed to Councilman Young's people today, that be physically there, since I was sending emails, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone else for non-agenda public comment?
Got 2 on Zoom.
Yes, okay, we'll go ahead and go to Zoom and we'll go back.
Claremont?
Thank you. Matthew Wang, Chair for Claremont Community Planning Group. Just wanted to notify the CPC of the status of the plan update. We anticipate a planning commission meeting in October, mid-October. We are working with staff, very happy to be working with staff. Marlon, your staff is doing really well. But it's not a surprise. We can expect more density along the villages and where especially around the Blue Line in Claremont and other areas of high transit areas. Happy to give anybody a status update, but just wanted to inform the CPC of what's going on. Thank you.
Great, thank you, thank you. And then we've got Kathleen Lippis.
Go ahead, Kathleen, and unmute.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Kathleen Lippett, and I wanted to talk about the ability of the city to adopt an on-sale CUP process. Restaurants during COVID were allowed to extend their service onto the public right away, and that was established during that time. Those policies were supposed to be temporary. They are supposed to expire in 2026. Some operators took extreme advantage of that opportunity. They expanded their premise onto the sidewalks at the expense of the public. Most licensed alcohol operators are responsible, but about 10% are not, and they become persistent community nuisances, causing problems like excessive noise, over-serving patrons that results in patrons leaving inebriated from the premises and causing problems in the nearby neighborhoods. code enforcement has failed to be a deterrent. Many cities have an on-sale CUP process that attaches conditions to the property. And that is a tool that is effectively used to keep irresponsible operators from being irresponsible. The city is unable to hold them responsible unless they have a non-sale CUP process. The city of San Diego has had an off-sale CUP process for about 20 years, but it is well past time that they adopt an on-sale CUP process, and that way they will not any longer be allowed to permit alcohol licenses in areas that are already high crime or already unduly saturated. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Kathleen. Okay, Becky, did you have something?
Yes, good evening. My name is Becky Rupp, and tonight I just wanted to share something with you that I had recently shared with the Land Use and Housing Committee. As I feel personally that there is a serious public health concern with San Diego's smoke-free housing protections. So HUD requires that all public housing be 100% smoke-free, protecting children and seniors, residents, with health conditions from exposure to secondhand smoke. However, if an affordable housing project is privately or corporately owned, even when it benefits from public resources such as Section 8 vouchers or local housing funds, that rule does not apply. Skyline Apartments in my community in Rancho Bernardo is an example. It's a privately owned affordable housing project that accepts housing subsidies, but because it's not owned or managed by the Housing Commission, the HUD smoke-free protections do not apply. So this means that low-income families living there may still be exposed to secondhand smoke in their home simply because of who owns the property. So two families with the same income living in subsidized housing are treated unequally when it comes to health protection. So I bring this up tonight as I want to bring it to your attention. I think that it is a loophole in the smoke-free housing policy that the city currently has. And we all have affordable housing projects being built in our communities, or most of us do. And so I think it's important that we speak to our representatives and our council member, urging them to acknowledge that this loophole does exist and suggest adopting a policy requiring that all projects that receive this affordable housing fund, private or public, be designated smoke-free. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Okay. Any, yes.
Hi, my name is Julie Hamilton, and I'm the president of the College Area Community Council. And I know you have on the agenda today, College Area Community Plan Update, and Robert Montana was talking to that. What I want to do is, this is very important to us, it's very dramatic for us. They're looking at increasing our density by 300% up to 74,000 people. We have one acre park, and there's no proposal to increase our parks by any significant amount. So that's an issue, but what I want to do, and why I'm talking to you in public comment, is I want to ask you, a lot of the activists and active in your community, please ask your communities and your email lists and all the people you know to come out and support us on October 9th at the Planning Commission. We are asking for about 137% increase in density. The city wants us to have over a 300% increase. We're willing to accept density. We need your support. So if any of you can bring support out for us, we would really appreciate it. And hey, we can't steer back here.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Michelle Roscoe. I'm Chelsea Smith. We're also several of you.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, head up front here.
Point of order.
Yes.
Is this public, is this agenda content? Non-agenda.
Yeah, is this, what is this related to an agenda item? Is this part?
non-agenda.
It's non-agenda. Okay. It's different than what's in the letter?
Yes.
1047 block of, college, and we're trying to propose something so that they don't have a 70-foot, 60-foot building. Okay, so this is a specific. Yeah.
Center, so we can all.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and if you're saying that it's not gonna be covered in the letter and this is separate, then you can speak during this time. Otherwise, it needs to be covered during the agenda item.
Okay, sorry, so we are on City Drive, we are a single family home. Very small, very homey neighborhood, we are all very tight knit. We are gonna propose to have 60-story buildings. Originally being put, next to all of our single family homes now, being put in the shadow of the main road that blocks up to college. Originally, the subdivision plan proposed no zoning on this part of college because it is like the gateway to El Cerrito, which is a very historic area. And a very significant neighborhood in San Diego and the college area. We are proposing, and we are hoping that we support our plan, that the city zone for 2 stories, so that we can create like a shopkeeper little downtown area part, something that our citizens, our residents, like current and future, something to bring people to the neighborhood. So this is something that we would like to see the city like us. They have no parks, they take it like we're not getting anything in this update except for getting density family everywhere. And this could create something for our neighborhood that would actually bring to the neighborhood, make a walkable little area that our neighbors now would want to stay in the neighborhood for, and we would also support people wanting to live in the neighborhood because of this little area. We are proposing a 2-story zoning, and to have shopkeeper, little floors below, down below, and the living area, with spots, things like that, like living spaces up.
And it would bring community and revenue and economic development. And it would be like your La Mesa, it would be a cute little store. We have a website that shows, a sign of, El Cerrito Square, and it would be thriving, it's thriving. And we on Soria Drive would not be looking at a 6-foot building, we'd have something. Very comparable. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Really
Okay, do we have any other non-agenda public comment? Yes.
My name is Pauline, and I'm in Council. Council is my home. My community feels like the country, even though we're in the city. Not a place that can afford to have housing. Structurally, we've been neglected for years. Our roads haven't been paved for the last century. Our storm drains were clogged by leaves and road recharged during last year's flooding. This caused unprecedented damage to homes and families, persecuted negligence. In San Diego. In CDCBG's community plan in 2015, it's noted that the Choice Valley neighborhood city for parks was 215 acres of population-based parks to serve our communities. At that time, we had 62 acres of parks. That is what we still. We are still deficient in parks by more than 150 acres. On any given day, the Central Rec Center has 4 soccer games being played on the baseball field, and on Sundays, the rec center is closed due to budget cuts. And since there's no toilet access, certainly the city has no problem building stadiums to play soccer and it's not fields for the Latino community to practice soccer. Footnote 7 was so egregious, the city repealed it within less than a year from public discovery and then usually fast reversal with planning policy projects already in the pipeline, like the Clobber project, continue to move forward despite strong community opposition to footnote 7 selected top zone. Footnote 7 violates California's affirmatively furthering fair housing, which requires cities to actively dismantle historic patterns of segregation and enforce inequity. Instead, our cities need to entrench these injustices by removing promised parkland, pushing unwanted density into communities already burdened by structural disinvestment. Choice Valley Community Planning Group filed an unprecedented lawsuit against the city of San Diego, challenging the city's violation of state and local planning laws, environmental justice principles, and California's affirmatively furthering fair housing mandate, as well as CEQA. I'm just sharing that information with you. Our working class diverse community speaks many languages, understands and nuances. Thank you very much.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, any others? If not, we're gonna go ahead and move forward with the approval of the minutes. Does anybody have any changes or comments on the minutes?
I think we had somebody from Turner Valley that, or no, it was Skyline, that was, instead of Guy, that she came in.
Samantha Jenkins. Okay. Thank you. Okay, the other thing is, Marlon, we were talking about cutting and pasting. On the second, item number 7, the Pacific Beach Planning Group correspondence that we voted on, supporting their correspondence and writing a letter. We just had the wrong yay, nay, abstention. So Marlon will update it. It was actually a vote of 23-0-1 with 1 abstention. To approve that motion. So he will update that to the meeting minutes and we'll send out an, or I guess you'll post, it'll be posted. Okay. All right. Then do I have a motion to approve the amended as amended? Yes. Okay, and a second?
I would like to second that.
Okay,
So
who is it? Oh,
Marcella, yeah.
Thank you, Marcella. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I guess I'm gonna, you know what, I'm just trying to keep, count up here and do this a little bit quickly. If you were not here and are abstaining, please raise your hand. Okay, so let me find out, and then please give me your community name, starting over here, university. You're abstaining?
Yes,
Not present, okay. And college area? Not present. In Canto? If it's different than,
Rob was here.
Rob was here.
Oh, yeah, but she's.
You're abstaining. That's, okay, as we go to Becky,
Yeah, I was not here.
Rancho Bernardo. Okay. Otay Mesa. Not present, right? Okay, and Uptown?
Driver, not present.
Okay, anyone else over here? Anyone online? Okay. And is there any nays? Other than that? Okay, then the rest we're gonna have as approvals. Okay? What's that?
Ask the same question.
I asked if anyone was online that had any, and I think everybody was there. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm trying to kind of move fast here just because we've got a lot. The Land Development Code Ad Hoc Committee looking, I want to actually get some volunteers for this. We're still waiting for this to come out. So please raise your hand if you're volunteering and give me your name so I can do a list. So, yes, Chris. Okay. Okay.
Great.
Okay, David Mo. So I've got Chris as chair, David Modi. Okay. Chris Beasley. Chris Beasley.
I'm volunteering too, so I look for that. Really depends what we plan to do. We're gonna go through the code line by line.
Chris
Figure it out.
Beasley.
Okay, we'll figure it out. Fine. Thanks.
Okay, going around Eric, Law, Peninsula.
So, yeah, well.
Is it your first name's David?
Kevin.
Kevin. Okay, Kevin Sullivan. Okay, any others? Anyone on Zoom that wants to volunteer for the land code? Okay, Scott Case is with
The
member on Uptown. Okay, nobody's mentioned anything on the Zoom. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 7 on the ad hoc committee for the land development code. Okay,
Madam Chair, just a quick update. So staff's still working on the language for the latest LDC update. We anticipate getting the CPC's recommendation within this calendar year. And then at the start of the first quarter of next year, we'll be looking to go to planning commission. So hearings will be next year.
okay.
You say January for CPC?
Yeah, first quarter.
And these are for 2025.
So we don't have quite an idea of when they're gonna drop.
Right.
Not yet.
That's,
I mean,
but it's sounding more like December. Is that
For
what you're
you guys.
for us?
Yeah.
The message they say they've extended, comments through October 31st.
That's for 2026. We're still talking about 2025.
Yeah, so Marlon, if I can ask, so the date when CPC might have a presentation to the city, that's not the same as when the language is gonna drop. We were anticipating starting to work on the essentially without, without a full CPC hearing as soon as the city came. So that's really the data.
Okay.
When the language is like.
Right, and I will let the CPC know when I get that information.
Okay, got it. If it's late, there's something here, so yeah.
We're gonna give you guys.
Okay, yeah, that's what the time to evaluate and then,
Okay, so Victoria.
yes, Chris.
So I have myself, David Modi, Guy Pierce, Eric Block, Sullivan, Scott Case, and there were.
Linda Vista, Chris Beasley, Linda Vista. Okay, that's who, that's what I've got. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay,
See you first.
okay, no, that's my list. Oh, hold on. Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna move on ahead. We have the city here to talk to us about the Inclusive Public Engagement Guide. Hello, hello. Thank you guys for coming. And if you'll introduce yourselves and move forward, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, thanks for having us. So my name is Diane Kane, I'm joined by Mr. Tang. But we're here today to follow up on this item that you provided. Providing you worksheets and some of you then facilitated conversations with your individual planning groups about how we can improve the city's public outreach and engagement processes and have more effective and inclusive ways of doing that. So specifically, we wanted to show how your input was reflected in this draft guide. And again, this is a guide that applies to all of our more than 30 city departments to help our staff, again, conduct public outreach and engagement. So well, we covered that, and this is a joint effort with our Division of Race and Equity, now in the Office of the IBA. So I think some of you are already familiar with our citywide organizational chart. Again, what we wanted to highlight here is that where city departments on the bottom may be doing public outreach and engagement in different ways, right now, what we want to see is public engagement happening in more consistent ways across the city. And that's something that this guide also helps achieve. So just to refresh, what is the purpose of this project? Again, we're trying to achieve more operational efficiency, while many of the projects that we work on require public, not a standardized way of doing so. We also want to make better decisions that are oftentimes, many of you know from your personal experience, more sustainable decisions, long-term decisions, when we have the benefit of understanding what the constraints and values and needs of the public are. We also see this as an opportunity to build trust with the public. And finally, we're looking at specifically how to better reach and engage groups that have been less represented and have their voices less heard by decision makers, so that we can make the best decisions possible, again, in service of the entire public. So what does this guide include? Well, thank you, Victoria, for posting that on the agenda. And so hopefully maybe you've had a chance to check it out. If not, I'll bring it up. It does include, about the guide, this includes our values of public engagement, kind of covers the why for this project. We have history and background of public participation. So these include things like our federal, state, and local regulations related to public participation. Importantly, it also includes the history of structural exclusion of certain groups of people as it relates to how they've been able to participate in decision making. We have underrepresented groups where we're looking at this topic qualitatively and quantitatively to understand who has been less represented in city decision making. Implementing public engagement, we'll touch on in just a moment here, but that includes things like our steps for conducting effective public participation. Engagement techniques, we have compiled more than 30 different ways for our city staff to share information and collect input. And so you'll see tip sheets for all 35 ways. And finally, get involved with the city is a section that we wrote specifically for the public to help share information about how to best get involved with the city. There's information about, for example, how to join your planning group, how to figure out board or commission, how to effectively share comment at city council or public hearings. And again, this guide is online right now, which was intentional so that we can update it efficiently as needed. But we'll also be making a PDF version available for those who are interested once we finalize the public comment period here in the next month or so. So speaking of which, I wanted to briefly cover our timeline. In 2023, we started both public and internal engagement on this project, asking our city departments and you what we hoped to see captured in this guide. And now we are at public review stage. So the draft was just released on a week and a half ago. It's all a blur. We are anticipating presenting this as an information item to the City Council Rules Committee in November. And we will certainly keep posted on that so that if you'd like to participate, you can. And I want to note that this work is also ongoing. So we have grant funding to also host public, first of all, staff trainings. So we're working with our HR department and all of our city departments to identify which city staff are in more public facing roles as a priority, and make sure that we get them through training so that everyone feels comfortable and confident using this guide in their day-to-day work. That funding will also go towards public workshops in 2026, where we intend to continue building the public's capacity to engage with us by sharing information about what the city does, why it's important, and how to get involved with us. So to jump into some of the content of this guide, one of the maybe more important and high-level values of the guide is called our engagement principles section. So when we asked you, some of your groups told us, again, I'm saying some of them, the ones that we got input from, but what we heard was that we should build community relationships, have inclusive practices, be transparent with how input influence decisions, communicate clearly, and commit to the engagement process. So I think that you can see our principles capture this. In these drop downs, you can see what we mean by that, because of course things are subject to interpretation differently, why it matters, and specifically how in the guide we are intending to advance the principles. So next I wanted to cover our steps for conducting public participation. When we asked you, we heard that it was important to CPC that there's good process followed for planning and conducting public engagement. So what this guide does is define 8 steps specifically for doing so. During steps 2 and 3, our staff are understanding the project area and identifying stakeholders relevant to that project area and the project. They may do this by, for example, reviewing past input received about the topic, understanding demographic information, and conducting early interviews with stakeholders. During steps 4 and 5, we will determine what is the level of participation. In other words, the goal. Are we just informing? Are we seeking input? And so that we can really be clear about that throughout the process. In step 6, we are creating and implementing a public engagement plan that is informed by all of the previous steps, who our stakeholders are, our research.
Throughout step 6, we will also follow up with participants about how their input was used. Reporting back and following up is again emphasized in step 7. And so that can happen in a variety of ways through report back summaries, posting updates to our website. And so we provide some options for that. Finally, in step 8, we have some criteria by which we will be evaluating the success. So regarding evaluating success, we do have a section called metrics for success that you can see here on the screen. Some of you told us that it's important to count how many people are showing up, ensure that diverse opinions are represented, evaluate participant satisfaction. And again, I think that those are reflected here in these 4 metrics. So what we mean by participant experience is, for example, do you feel that it was a fair process, right? Even if maybe helped. So kind of trying to qualitatively assess some of those things. We're looking at demographic representation. So that is comparing that to project area, actual demographics, whether that's citywide or community level. Reach, and then how aligned, what we mean by quality of input is how aligned the input was with the project topic. So that if we're talking about a housing project and we getting input about, I don't know, something completely irrelevant, then that tells us that maybe there's room for improvement for us as well in how we're clearly communicating about the project. So that's another way that we can look at this. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Vanessa, and we'll continue highlighting some sections of the guide.
Okay, thanks, Anisha. So the CPC said that staff should understand social and cultural norms of different populations to engage diverse populations. Engaging diverse groups includes information to know before engaging these groups and ways to make outreach and engagement more inclusive. On the screen, you'll see our Engaging Older Adults section. This section and others like it contain considerations for before engaging the group, challenges and barriers to participation unique to each group, as well as tips for outreach and engagement. The Community Planners Committee also shared that it's important to work with CPC and the planning groups, as well as other engagement partners such as community-based organizations, neighborhood associations, and businesses. This section contains tips for working with these different groups. On the working with community planning groups and community planners committee section, we outlined that what both groups are, their role in engagement, how staff can work with CPC before, during, and after the meeting. The CPC also recommended distributing materials at high traffic locations and on social media. The guide contains information for different types of engagement events, both meetings and more personal. We're happy to share that we have 35 techniques available in our techniques and approaches section. Our survey technique provides best practices. Oops, sorry.
Vanessa's better at this than me, so. Okay.
So our surveys and polls technique is just an example of one of the techniques that we have, and it contains best practices for creating statistically significant and representative surveys. It contains guidance from our performance and analytics department that enhances survey neutrality and consistency across the city's department. It walks staff through all the steps of planning and creating a survey, publishing it, and what to do once it's posted. The CPC also mentioned that it's important that staff facilitate trust and mutual respect among groups, especially when they have competing interests or start out feeling unequal or at odds with each other. Facilitation of engagement events has tips for inclusivity, cultural norms, and meeting agreements that bolster the respect and active listening from all groups. There's also recommendations for staff to welcome participants and foster an environment of care and trust. It was important to CPC that staff communicate in a way that was clear, simple, and inclusive. This section provides best practices for doing so. Writing that is scannable, clear, and avoids jargon helps the public understand the city's message. Additionally, it provides examples of universal phrases and more inclusive language that staff can use in writing. For example, we could recommend saying easy instead of PCK or aware instead of ignorant. You can share with others how to participate with the city. Our Get Involved with the City section provides an overview of what the city does, the public's role as voters and constituents in shared decision-making, and different ways to get involved, and specific guidance for how to effectively participate at public hearings. In this section, we also outline how to join a planning group. We also want to let you know that the guide is available for public review, and we have upcoming workshops in September and October. We would love your feedback and welcome you to join us for these workshops that are starting next week. Please help us spread word about the guide and let your planning groups know that these workshops are available to them as well. And with that, I wanted to walk you through how to provide feedback through our guide website. So when you navigate onto each page, you'll see on the top right-hand corner, there's a button that says provide feedback. And when you click that blue button, it pulls up a form where you can provide your name, your email address, your organizational affiliation, and then you can rank how useful you find the content of the page. At the bottom of the form, you'll see a text box where you can actually describe whatever changes or suggestions you may have for us, and then submit the form, and we'll get an email and be able to see your comments. That's not the only way though. We do have an email that you can email us at. It's engagement@sandiego.gov, and then you can access the guide at sandiego.gov/engagement. Yeah, and then do you have any additional thoughts or questions?
Open the floor. Any questions from the board?
Will you send this out, will you send Victoria email so that we can, with the website on it, so we can send it out to our group?
Yes, absolutely. It's on the agenda as well, and I sent Victoria the slide, so I wish you can.
If you see in the agenda item, it's highlighted under the item number 4, and it has the engagement link right there.
How about this presentation?
The presentation is, yeah,
I can give a copy, so.
yeah, I have a copy of it, so I can send that out. Do you want, okay, yeah, I'll send it out.
Engagement boards.
Okay, any other questions?
Victoria, we have questions on Zoom.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Marcella?
Yeah, do you want, so
Yes.
I'm sorry, and this is not meant directly at you, but this is a nice PowerPoint. But the Pacific Beach Planning Group sent a letter to Elise Lowe about our problem that we had at Development Services Department. And we have gotten 0 feedback. So, I mean, there is no engagement.
Okay, I'd be happy to try to help follow up with that. If you, I don't know how to connect.
The CPC also sent a letter after
Okay.
Pacific Beach brought this to our attention, and we evaluated, saw what was happening, and so we also sent a letter, which I sent out to the various heads and department, and I still have not. I heard from the mayor's office that they received it. It was for the policy advisor.
When was
This was July 28th.
Okay. So we'll follow up.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Our letter was sent months before that.
Noted. We will. Follow up.
Okay, thank you. I've got Paul online real quick. Paul.
Yeah, before I ask my question, just to understand this agenda item, is this about engagement between the planning department and the planning groups, or between planning groups and their communities? Just want to make sure.
No, neither. As I mentioned at the top, this is actually about how the entire city organization interacts with the entire public. So I hope that that's clear. But this is all 30+ departments, providing them a guide for how to conduct public outreach and engagement beyond planning groups, every single member of the public, but with planning groups as well, which I saw specific section about.
Okay. Could I ask? Sorry, I wasn't quite done. Could I ask a quick question then? Is it all right to ask a question about planning groups and their outreach to communities and some of the changes that were planned for planning groups, or is that not on topic here?
I'm not sure if I'm gonna be like.
Yeah, I don't think it's on top.
Okay, just really quickly, my experience with planning group meetings is that I've really been made to feel unwelcome at a lot of those meetings simply because I hold a contrary opinion to many of the people on the planning group. So I think there's room for improvement for planning groups to listen to contrary opinions. Folks who support safer streets, folks who support more housing are
Well,
often, yeah.
like this doesn't have to do with this presentation. That's what you're
Okay.
planning. So we're gonna have to move on to the next individual. Okay?
Got it. Thanks.
But you're always welcome at Normal Heights.
Yes. Okay, and I'm not going to ask everybody because we have too much on the agenda tonight. That's why I'm asking for specific hands raised that I call on you.
If I could just follow up on that point, then, to be clear, part of the reason why we made this public is so that hopefully it can be useful for not just our organization, but other organizations, other agencies, planning groups. You know, obviously it takes a wheel like this and a bureaucracy like this, it takes time to get the wheels moving, but you know, we want to be all successful, right, in this effort. We have shared goals at the end of the day, I think, of, you know, representing your communities and providing effective input to decision makers. So I hope that it's useful for you as well.
Yeah, great, thanks. Hold on, I'm gonna go first over.
So my issue is, I feel like north of the 56, basically the city ignores. It's nice you have that Zoom one, but we don't usually get, maybe here Mesa sometimes, but we don't have anybody ever come to address us as a full group. I don't think many people in our area can address us commission about. And my other thing is that it feels like we get these things right. I know you said you did this like a year or so ago, but I wasn't aware of that, and I'm becoming fairly regular. That's my two things. And also, if we could have these things when they're put on the agenda, maybe advance notice a little bit, because our planning group meets the Thursday before the meeting, this meeting. And I would like to address to see if they have any issues, and I don't find out about the stuff until Thursday.
Logistically, it's difficult sometimes because we don't get this, you know, it's just logistically difficult.
Well, it seems like it shouldn't be that logistically.
If it's an action item, we really do try to get it ahead of time so that we can talk about it.
And this is something that the city should review, like try to get it to you ahead of time. So if you go to out.
Okay, all right, well, thank you for your input, appreciate it. Okay, yes, Guy.
Yeah, I would hope that this guide that you're producing is more for the different departments within the city to do better outreach. Something similar to what we did with the trash can business, where, you know, only not hiring outside consultants to do it, but the city to do it, like the recreation department does occasionally, and covering wide swaths of the city with what their needs are and what their desires are for improving their parks or getting parks in the first place. Not so much for citizens group to learn how to do outreach, but for the city department to actually, and that includes, the individual city council offices too.
Yeah, just to be clear, this is not, I can't help. But we'll see, Eric.
But
Yeah.
this book on the screen?
Yeah, I hope.
We can bring it to, we can bring it to our individual city council offices and say, hey,
Thank you, guys.
get hot.
But I think this is a great idea for the city. Yeah, no, I mean, it's clear that there's a huge problem with communication between the community group and the city, amongst the public in general, communicating with the city. I guess my question is there gonna be somebody who's responsible in each of these departments for receiving these comments and responding back? Or is this the kind of thing where they maybe get an email response or an email question and think, oh, let me send that on to this person in this department, and then it just disappears forever? Because that's kind of been my experience. It gets sent off to, let me have this other person answer that question, then I never hear anything. There's no follow.
Are you talking about, you're not talking about for the guide specifically, you're talking about any?
I'm talking about the engagement. You're saying that it's gonna be all 30 departments in the city, right? And it's gonna go to each department depending on what you communicate.
Yeah.
So is there gonna be somebody in each of those departments who handles that? Or is it just gonna be a general box for that department that like somebody gets assigned to once a week to look at? And there's no actual requirement that somebody follows up with it.
Right.
Because otherwise it's kind of moved, right? It's like, here, we're helping, but you're not really doing anything.
So I think the nuance is that some of the stuff you're talking about is like customer service, and then it's like kind of overlaps also with public engagement, public outreach. There are similar things that we're trying to achieve.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing, engagement.
Yeah,
you know, customer
absolutely.
service,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah. And so what we're trying to do is at a base level, right, build our staff's understanding of why this is important, right? Like, we're here to serve the public, and so it's not, you know, okay to not respond to people, right? I mean, we're trying to build that level of kind of values-based awareness, right? I can't speak to right now how the department handles their emails.
Yeah.
But what I'm hoping again is that this is kind of like a systems change, and it's some ways you can look at it as that of how we're interacting, right, with the public. So
I would say it's much more organized this way, which is great, but unless you have somebody who's going to be responsible for those emails, it's gonna be the same as it always is. It's just, yeah, you send in a request to something and you never hear back.
Okay, I'm gonna take one more question from Elizabeth.
Thank you. So you're talking a lot about consistency and trying to make all the different departments uniform. Could you give us some insight into how vigorous the training for staff will be? Because that's sort of, it seems like sort of the missing link. Like, how are you going to teach all of these departments, and what sort of training? And is it just going to be a guide that they pick up when they have a question, or is there going to be an actual program with an agenda and itinerary for staff to follow, and also follow up on a regular basis to be sure not only that new staff members are learning them, but that there's continuing education for all staff members? Could you please speak to that?
Sure, of course, vigorous is a subjective term, but what I can tell you is that I'm working actively with our HR department, with all of our departments, to first identify, again, who are high flyer, I don't know what the best term is to speak to it, but essentially the staff that are most public facing, which doesn't actually depend on role per se, title, but more functional role, essentially what they're doing in the department. So the benefit of working with our HR department is that they lead on training and development in our city. That means that things like our public service management certificate or other learning pathways that all of our city staff may want to take for career development. This is now, we're looking to incorporate this into, outside of, in addition to the training that we'll be doing that I mentioned. It's not just, you know, guided, published, use it. We're creating a curriculum for the 8-step checklist that we showed you, kind of, for example, walking that through that with our staff, step by step, to make sure, oh, you can do this, right? It's achievable, it's doable, we all feel comfortable doing it, and it works, importantly. So that 8-step checklist, for me, is one of the most important parts of this entire guide. There's absolutely gonna be an emphasis on making sure that everyone's comfortable with that. So the training is still actively in development right now, but those are things I think.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ladies, for presenting. And I will mention, I do remember this last year. They did come and present and we took it back to our planning groups, and our planning groups individually filled these out and sent them in, and CPC reminded us to send this in. So it was a longer process, but I do recall it. I know our planning group filled it out and sent it in. So
Yeah, I don't know, maybe I wasn't correct then, so I don't know.
maybe so. Okay, all right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Great. All right, we are gonna move on the agenda. We have the Association for the City of La Jolla has asked to come in and speak with us. So Diane Kane here. Is she on Zoom? Okay. Can we put her on the screen?
Okay, I'm gonna. Like. See your presentation in Zoom.
Okay, yeah, if I can start this on Zoom, that'd be great. Yeah, can you guys see it all?
Sorry. Hold on.
I think it was my fault. I was saying I'm sorry, Vanessa, I'll bring you flowers.
Okay, I'm Diane Kane, and I'm the president of the Association for the City of La Jolla. And I'm showing you our logo and our QR code that will jump you straight to our website. So if you want to know more, I would recommend you take a photograph of that and peruse it at your leisure. What I'm doing is an update of where we are in the LAFCO process, which really has a pre-process requiring a number of factors be taken into account and assessed before you even get into the LAFCO process. So the first thing was public outreach. We needed to do a financial analysis, which was a draft fiscal analysis to determine whether it was financially feasible for cityhood for La Jolla, apart from San Diego. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing was we needed a petition signed by 25% of registered voters within the boundaries of what we wanted to be the future city of La Jolla. So what I'm showing you here is that petition process happened last year between June 1st and December 1st. It was a 6-month process. We got a customized petition from LAFCO where we had the La Jolla city address and zip code filled in. It was pre-filled, and then people need to sign it and date it and give their print their names. And that became a part of contention that we're still working with at this point. We reached out to a number of businesses in town. We had over 25 local businesses that helped us with the public outreach. And we also had a website. And so basically this was a very intense community-driven campaign. And without the community, we would not have gotten into the LAFCO process, which we are today. So here's some of our public outreach aspects. We had tents up at various community events. We knocked on doors. We had community meetings, etc. And over 60 people helped us collect over 8,000 signatures. This garnered a lot of media attention, both print and television. So we got pretty good coverage citywide. And in January, we turned in over 8,000 signatures. And you can see them here in this slide. Keen Simmons from LAFCO is signing off on our submittal. And these signatures then went to the Registrar of Voters for validation. So here we are with the mayor's rep looking at the signatures once they had first been vetted by the Registrar of Voters. They determined that a number of signatures were not qualified. So we then had a 2-week curation period where we could either go back to people to fix their signatures or gather additional signatures. During that period, we collected another 1,500 signatures, collecting over 9,000 in total. And of those, we wound up with 218 short. At that point, we went through a challenge period we did get the number of signatures validated that were required, which were 6,772 total. So we successfully challenged the signatures that were discarded by the Registrar of Voters. And at that point, LAFCO gave us a letter of sufficiency saying we could enter the LAFCO process. So the first letter is the insufficiency letter saying we didn't make it. The second is, yes, you did make it. And then we went through some further discussions with LAFCO and the Registrar of Voters. And we got a second letter of sufficiency in August saying that we were actually given two different totals that we needed to reach at different times in the process. And we determined that we met the totals, regardless of which total it was. Now that is the basis of the city's lawsuit, that we did not achieve these totals. And there's some confusion between what the Registrar of Voters told us and what LAFCO told us and what, the two agencies, and we kind of got caught in the middle. So LAFCO said, you're fine under either total, you made it. So at that point, we are in the LAFCO process, and that was as of April. We received the first letter of sufficiency. We got the second one in August as a result of the city's lawsuit. So for those of you who are curious about what the LAFCO process is, it's a three phases. The first one I just talked about, which was the community studies, the petition. We had to file an application, and then we gave LAFCO $66,000 to pay for staff time to process our application going forward. We are now in the second phase of LAFCO, which starts right here. This is where LAFCO will hire a consultant to do a final certified financial analysis that will include a number of things that were not in the original study. Once that is completed, we will go to a public hearing with the board of LAFCO, which is a county-wide organization. If they determine the study is sufficient and is a good idea for not just La Jolla, but for San Diego and for the county, then it will go to a ballot measure for a vote. And the people voting on this will be two votes. One is the people in the boundaries of the city of La Jolla. Are they in favor of this? And the other is those voters in the city of San Diego. And it needs to achieve a majority in both of those groups of people to be successful. We are currently looking at the November 2028 general election because this can only go to a ballot measure in a general election. So we're out to 2028. So here's the original fiscal analysis we had done. It was an update of a draft done in 2005 by the same firm. And what the outcome of that was that we annually provide the city about $9 million a year with various sources of income. And out of that, we get about $8.5 million worth of services. So there is a net difference there that is given back to the city to be spent however the city wants. What the preliminary certified fiscal analysis did not include are these various items that will be addressed in the final analysis. So the first is one-time startup costs to become a city. There's going to be about a year transition. The city will probably stake us on the costs of setting up staff and getting various processes set up to take on what the city is now providing for the community so the community can be self-sufficient. There will be negotiations on leases on city-owned property and various related costs, who gets the revenue, how that is shared, etc. Responsibilities for unfunded pension liabilities and other city debt. We all know the city has got a lot of debt and for over a multi-year period, and we will take on our fair share of that debt and cover it. So we're not just picking up the marbles off the table and leaving. We are part of San Diego, and we will do our best to be good neighbors to the rest of the city. Contracting services. We are setting up the proposal that we will be a contract city, and we would like to contract back several of the services provided by the city. So we will be discussing what those services are and what they might cost. Impacts on public utilities. There's been some information in the papers about the water district. So that's certainly one utility that would be affected by our carving off and would require some negotiations. And then finally, revenue neutrality. This does not go to a ballot measure unless the overall proposal is revenue neutral. So the city cannot lose any money, which means the money La Jolla is now giving the city, it's about $1 million a year. The city gets to keep to decide how they want it spent. So this costs the city nothing. It's important to learn that. Okay, now what's it going to cost us to do this? We've done some budget raising. The first 11 months, phase one, when we were doing studies, it was about $55,000. It was about another 35 during doing the petition. Then getting the LAFCO signatures and whatever was about another 200,000. And we're thinking to get through this next phase, it's going to be about 800,000. So that's total cost over a 24-month period for the consultant, for attorneys, et cetera. And then if we go to an election measure, it'll probably be another 1 to 4 million. So that's about what it's costing us. The money, here's what the money's being spent for. We do have an organization that has expenses, including a website and social media, document storage, financial reporting, and a bank account. We paid signature gatherers about $54,000. Attorneys at this point, $132,000 and counting. We have attorneys that are specialized in the LAFCO process who are representing us with LAFCO. And then because of the city's lawsuit, we have hired additional attorneys, expert in litigation. The LAFCO fees total to process our application will be about $150,000. The consultant prep for this new financial report, we're assuming will be about $175,000. And then other consulting expertise. We're amateurs. We do not know how to set up a city. So we have interviewed a number of consultants who do, and we will be needing their expertise both for organizing the city, hiring staff, and for getting us through an election campaign. So that's going to be the bulk of the fees that we will be needing. And then of course, marketing and PR. Once we get, we're sort of running a parallel process in both figuring out how to get through the LAFCO process and then what sort of city do we want to become. So that's a parallel process that we'll be hiring consultants to help us out with and coming up with a strategy to get through that first year of cityhood. And then finally, how can you help? So the first is help us out with money. I'll show you a QR code that will jump you to our website where you can donate. Help us with fundraising, join a committee. We're looking for volunteers. We're really branching out community-wide. We'll be at a number of community events this fall. And then just join our mailing list if you want to know what's going on. We don't spam you. We'll send you something periodically to keep you updated when there's something that has happened that is of interest. And you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And then here's our QR codes that will jump you directly to a location where you contribute, where you can volunteer, or you can sign up for the newsletter. And are there any questions? Thank you.
Okay, yeah, we're going to.
Yeah, I had a couple of separate questions. First question is, will the city of La Jolla think to include population? Population or student?
I'm sorry, could you say, I couldn't quite hear you?
Will the city of La Jolla think to include the UCSD student population within population?
No, the boundaries are basically the Pacific Ocean up to the southern boundary of Del Mar, following the I-5 to the east. We're carving out the UCSD campus and then going down to the border with Pacific Beach. In doing initial research on setting boundaries, we talked to people who had set up a number of cities recently, carving out of counties, and they advised us to not include the university. A large part of it is, number one, it's state-owned land. We have absolutely no jurisdiction over that. And number two, there are a lot of people living on campus who are transient. So they're not really involved in the community of La Jolla. So we were very much advised not to include the university.
My other question was the contracted services you said you were seeking to negotiate with the city. The mayor's already come out and said pretty firmly it's not going to happen. The next milestone will be 2028, assuming he's either reelected or someone that also does not want to contract out the services would be elected. Is there a backup plan?
First of all, the mayor may make whatever statements he wants, but legally he cannot refuse to contract from us. So that's number one. Number two, yes, we have a number of alternatives if contracting with the city doesn't work. And we have chatted with a number of other providers. So there are ways to do this, and we will explore them further as we get more information.
Any other questions from the floor? Yes, Chris?
Yeah, Diane Kane, Chris Nielsen. I sort of object to your use of the word transients for university residents. We've gone and spent a lot of time trying to disabuse people of that particular notion. I would really like it if you would use that as a reason for either including or not including the university. You can come up with a lot of things, but that's not one of them. So,
Okay, help me out, Chris. What term would you prefer?
residents.
Yeah, they are correct. They are residents.
Yeah, I would leave it at that. We've gone to a lot of effort to try to keep it on that plane. Yeah, so I'll just keep my comment at that.
Yeah, I stand corrected, and I will take that under advisement. Now, the real reason was it's state-owned property, and we have no control over it. So,
yes.
I'll take a somewhat different tack, but when I attended UCSD, I don't think I ever once went into the city or village of La Jolla. I felt completely disconnected and not part of La Jolla, and understand sort of this, that the campus is one thing and that the city may be another.
Okay, any other questions?
Hi, this is Liz Shope from the Torrey Pines community. We border Del Mar, and I wonder if you're probably taking part of our land, or we're interconnected very much in the coast. So it's kind of interesting to hear that you're going to the city, you're taking up to the city of Del Mar.
yeah, we basically talked to state parks. We're including the state park. We talked to them. They said they are neutral, and it's like the university. It's state-owned land, and they are neutral. And well,
okay, I'm talking about, there's actually people that live in like Del Mar Terraces. That's part of the city of San Diego. And part of Del Mar, it's like part of our land is really mixed. Del Mar Heights and Del Mar Terraces, and so I just wonder where exactly the boundary is, if you could send it to us so that I could.
Okay, yeah, if you want to help us clarify that, that would be much appreciated. So please contact me, and we'll talk about boundaries. Thank you.
Okay, yes, and
Now, you mentioned
come
that-
forward a little bit so that she can hear, because she's got to pick it up in this mic.
She's inside this box here.
She's in that.
So you mentioned you were carving out part of the university. So how does this affect Seal Beach and the La Jolla beaches? I'm not sure from your description. Would they become private beaches where we can't go to Seal Beach, or what? Could you just clarify that for me? With some of the beaches where the sails are, the children's pool.
They're all part of California. Yeah, we have the whole coastline. We have the coast from the southern boundary of Del Mar to the northern boundary of Pacific Beach are in La Jolla. And they are all public beaches, and they will remain public beaches.
Definitely remain public beaches. There won't be any extra fine for non-residents of La Jolla.
Oh.
All right, any other questions? Yeah, Paul.
Could you speak to your plans for affordable housing? I know that
When we talked, there was some talk of the codes hamstringing the intent of law.
Yeah, there are a number of places, we have been asked questions about how are you going to meet your affordable housing requirements? And we have looked at a number of places where we think we can up densities. Certainly in the village of La Jolla, there's a lot of like surface parking lots that could have development on them. There are a lot of lots that do not go to the 30-foot height limit. And I would be in favor of selectively lifting the height limit. But I think that would have to be done in concert with the community once we are a community, not imposed from outside. So that's one possibility. We have a number of zones with RM11 housing, and there's some ideas that I collected from Vancouver on how they upped their zoning in single family areas on lots similar to what we've got in our RM11 zone, which are the 25 to 50-foot frontages with like 100, 120-foot depths. So they have some really interesting ways of upping densities without blowing out character of single family neighborhoods that I'd very much like to explore.
Thank you.
And then Marcella, I have you.
Yeah, I have a quick question. I haven't heard. I can't imagine that the city would be too interested in losing the Torrey Pines Golf Course, as it is a huge revenue generator for the city and the Parks and Rec Department. And I'm just wondering what your negotiations are with that.
Yeah, that's part of the negotiations going forward. We've heard a lot from the general public about the Torrey Pines Golf Course, and we totally understand and agree it is beloved by the entire San Diego region. So we would not change the fee structure at all for San Diego residents, and we would negotiate the revenues with the city, and we'll figure out how we work it out. But it would physically be in La Jolla, but we're very willing and open to negotiations on sharing revenues and keeping the greens fees where they are for everyone.
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Diane. We're at the end of our hour here with your subject, so we appreciate you coming and discussing this and giving the CPC this information. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Very much appreciate it.
All right, we are going to move on to. Or what do you want me to put up? We're going to be moving on to the college area community plan update, and Robert is going to be speaking to this.
Do you want me to stand or sit? Should I speak from here or up there?
That would be great if you come up here. That way the camera can get you on. You want to
Elementary school teachers used to not want to hear me. Pretty commanding voice. Hi, my name is Robert Montana. I'm here with associates, residents, friends from the college area. We've been dealing with a community plan update for probably more than a year. And we were quite frankly alarmed by what's happening. And we think that you will share our alarm and will change your approach to community plan updates processes in the future. In anticipation of the upcoming community plan update, we were proactive. We came up with an idea called the 7 Visions Plan. We got our neighbors together, we talked about it for several months, and we came up with a plan that proposed to increase our densities by over 100%. And we located that density along the corridors, specifically El Cajon Boulevard, and near San Diego State University to create kind of a campus town and to have access with the trolley. We presented this plan to the city. It was available to the community, to the planning department, and they came out with several. Did I give you this letter?
You did. And I sent it to everybody. Man.
Oh, you did? Okay. I never went over it. So anyway, good. So I wrote a letter, and this is a draft. And what
I'd like to continue my little speech here. We were consistently ignored by the planning department, and I thought it was ironic that there was a presentation about public input. They did the survey, they came out and did sharing events in the neighborhood. They took in feedback from the subcommittee that was set up to talk to them specifically about the plan and its iterations. And I think they came up with 3 written drafts, and none of them mentioned anything about the 7 Visions plan. It was only after we went to the planning commission for the first time when one of the commissioners said, well, maybe you guys should like work together, come to some agreement, that they included it in their document as an alternative. It's not their preferred plan. We're comfortable with development, increasing the density 100%. They're proposing over 300%. They took all our, finally, after they put it as part of their plan, they put all of the density that we had on the boulevard and near San Diego State, near the trolley station, and then they infill all of the single family residential properties with your low 4s, with land use designations that allow 6-7 story buildings. And some of that is okay, some of it we could probably live with. But the point is that they're not offering any kind of infrastructure improvements. There's no way to gain the infrastructure we need. There's no additional police, fire. They're proposing mid-rise and high-rise units in high fire risk severity zones. They're proposing all of this new density without a single new park. We are currently, as an existing state, only about 9% of the park points that we are entitled to. As it was reported earlier, we have 1 park. It's like 1.5 acres. They're talking about, somebody shout out the raw numbers.
48 acres was supposed to pass back in 1989.
And so we're severely. They're proposing this in areas that are considered low resource. So the state agency, CACPB, says that you shouldn't be doing high density in these kind of low resource neighborhoods. But there it is. And we worry, basically, that this is a blueprint for all upcoming community plan update efforts throughout the city. So what we want from you is, as was previously mentioned, we want you to drum up some support for us. People in your communities should and participate in the community planning commission hearing, which is scheduled for October 9th. The agenda hasn't been published. We don't know what the item number is yet, but we could certainly make that available. And we would like you to give the chair the ability to walk through this letter and edit it for us with you. It could take a couple of tacks. It could list all of our points that we have already voiced to the commission, and you could support those points. Or you could just say, hey, look, you set up planning groups, you ask for input, and then maybe you should listen to the input you get. Okay? I guess I was struck by the presentation. I didn't make the point at the time. The city says, and I hope I'm not misquoting the woman, I didn't catch her name, I'm sorry, that we have one goal, and that's to serve the residents of the city. Well, I used to teach rhetoric, and I am a human, humans have mixed motivation, and all organizations run by humans have mixed motivation. That is not the only goal of the city of San Diego. It depends on who you are, what member of the audience you are. The people who are elected have different goals. The people who work for the city have different goals. People who live in the city have different goals. And it's one thing to say, yes, give us your input. It's another thing to actually implement that input, to use it, to use what you gain appropriately, and to not disregard what you're hearing because you're hearing from people who are not in your audience. Was that obscure enough, or am I making my points pretty clear? Okay, thank you. So, questions?
I was wondering if you could speak to whether there's any involvement and to what extent SDSU or I guess the CSU system is involved in the increase around this campus.
Allow if you may.
Yeah, we actually did reach out. We did have a student from SDSU join the planning group. And the other thing is that the San Diego State University itself and the associated students have very specifically said that they do not want to render an opinion. They want the community to be allowed to plan for the community. We have an AS rep on our planning group and on our CACC, and we have a representative from San Diego State on our planning group and on the CACC.
I just get you provided any info on how to going forward and how to see the need.
That was a pretty entertaining question that got a really nebulous answer when we asked it, so no.
Thank you.
Can I address it briefly?
Yeah, if you would come just a little bit closer up front here.
No problem. The numbers that the city has chosen to use for our population do not include the students that live on campus. It's as if they are jailed and they never leave the campus. So the estimate that Robert gave you, excuse me, for 74,000 students, people in the college area at build out is actually totally understated. If you add in what we know to be the 8,500 students that live on campus now and the 4,500 that they're building new housing for that has just been approved, the Evolve. But that's the incremental numbers, 4,500. The total at build out on the planning horizon will be 87,000 students. And what they're counting right now is, what we would have right now is 27,000. So that's an increase of 296% on our population. And the other thing I would just like to point out to you is compared to what's been going on with the other community plan updates that have taken place of late. When you compare them to what's on the ground versus what has been planned. If you look at the Mira Mesa plan that was approved in 12/22, that's on their planning horizon, there's an increase of 119% for dwelling units. For the university community plan update, what's on the ground versus what's planned, what was approved, 115%. For the Hillcrest, if you look at the total, it was plus 122%. Claremont for the, they're in their second draft, which is what we're in, plus 52%. The average of all those is plus 98%. What the city is asking of us is plus 322% increase in dwelling units versus what's on the ground. And what we have volunteered to take in the 7 Visions plan is plus 137%. So more than any other community plan that has been approved since this 6th housing cycle. So,
okay, if I can just, and again, just for the interest of time. So generally, when it comes to community plans, we are separated, right? We have our own CPGs and we handle those decisions and those votes within. With CPC, we look at citywide things. And I believe what you're bringing to the point is citywide, as these community plans change, these are things that we need to look out for, or in your case, push back. So we have to be careful as a CPC that it relates to the city writ large. But at the same time, a situation like, I'll give you, for instance, what happened in Choice Valley and Cantor with footnote 7. We recognize that as a injustice of sorts in the
Absolutely.
code, right? And so that is why we took a stance on that and wrote a letter to it. So what we need from you is, what would you want from the CPC that affects us as a whole community, as a whole group, that this could eventually, but is it a letter correspondence saying that we need to have some type of, rate that's not 300%, but that averages out, we need more of a specific thing that would be considered affecting all community plans in that regard.
I think probably the fundamental issue with this particular plan is that, first of all, it's asking the community to accept an extreme increase in density without the supporting infrastructure. We don't have a fire station. 50% of the community is in a very high fire severity zone. We don't have a police station. Okay, they can't decide what division we're in, whether we're in Eastern, which is up in the Kearney Mesa area, or we're in Mid-City, which is closer to it. No, we're in Eastern, the only community south of 8 where we're in Eastern. They should be coming forward with these massive increases in density if they can't support them.
Okay, so asking the community, the CPC, to support a specific thing, how would we go about it? You said this is going October 9th
To
the plan
commission, yeah.
planning commission. So this would be something you would want from our group before that.
Right.
Correct? So this is really your only opportunity for us to come up with something that each member here would actually consider supporting in a letter or something like that. Otherwise, this is just a discussion item and a topic for us to all be aware of. Do you see what I mean? So
No, I do understand what you mean. Yes. But I'm not gonna-
It seems to me that there is common cause here citywide in matching infrastructure development with housing development. The city has been behind on trees, parks, libraries, fire stations, police stations, and sewer and water power since before I was born. So I think that there's an opportunity here to unify across all the CPGs to make a generalized statement that we don't mind build up as long as you have the supporting infrastructure.
Well, we're a fair share, 322% versus an average of 98% is just extraordinary. I think it should be more of communities can increase based on fair share percent. This is all built out land too. It's not like there's any vacant land available anywhere. It's totally built out. Things would have to be completely destroyed to create. I think that
The chair, I think the gentleman in Uptown is.
I was just gonna make the same point that, infrastructure is the biggest, this is like deja vu for us in Uptown. We were going through this, Mike can attest to this, for years, there was an argument going on as they were writing our new community plan, and we gave them information from the community about what we wanted, what they wanted, what we wanted to see. They totally ignored us all the way up until the end. He said, look, there's no infrastructure for this. These are aging sewer lines. These are historic neighborhoods. You have the original sewer lines, the original water lines. Are you planning on upgrading these? And the answer is always, well, the developers will do it if they go along and build. That's not the way it works. The city needs to do it. And so I think we need to come together as a uniform.
If I may answer your question, we changed the letter to say we're not in favor of what's happening in the college area unless and until the city can demonstrate that infrastructure will be provided in a timely manner.
Citywide infrastructure.
Citywide.
Yeah, they have to stop with plans unless they can provide some assurances that they're gonna make sure that we're gonna get more fire departments, more police stations.
we also, just if I could say, we're being asked to zone for 82% of San Diego's projected 2050 population and 24% of its housing. But we represent 1.8% of its population, according to the 2020 census, and 0.9% of its land.
Okay, Eric.
So it's actually, that's salient to this. Okay,
Even if we build all 107,700
houses that are by the complete BS RENA numbers, because they are complete with a foundation. They're all based on pre-COVID population projections. If we increase the size of the city by 25%, we're not. The revised DOF numbers put us at no more than 3.7% increase over the next 35 years, with a decrease after that. The revised modeling should put us at about 42,000 housing units that need to be built. But even if we build all 108,000, that's still only an 18% increase over the current number of houses in the city, 588,000 dwelling units in the city. There's absolutely no reason we should be densifying any section of the city or even the rest of the city 300%. It's complete and utter nonsense. It's not urban planning. It's no planning whatsoever.
Okay.
And that's the part that we all have to
So
unify
that's
on.
what I'd like to do right now is what are the specific statements that we can all agree on that would go in correspondence for us, speaking to your community plan group, and like that one right there, number one would be, we don't support the 300%.
Well, number one is the infrastructure. We
Yes.
don't plan until we get the infrastructure. And number two is, you can help me out here, we don't provide plans that are superfluous, that are overarching, that which can be reasonably expected, right? Because the Sandag numbers in the next 30 years, we're talking about 65,000 residents.
We're not gonna add any more. 4%.
Okay, David.
So one of the things is, yes, they are over zoning, and they're over zoning because I think maybe only a fraction of it will actually get built. So maybe they'll zone for 300% more and you'll get 20 or 30% more. The problem is there's no off button. If they start building beyond that 20 or 30% more, there is absolutely no way more park space can be created in the college area. It's not like some of the edge parts of the city where you have these large parks that are nice in certain parts and vacant land elsewhere. There's, at a certain point, you can gusset them up to make them more effective.
There's no
gusseting up what's left in the college area.
Well,
But let's not ignore the impact here, and it's fairly well established. If you upzone a lot, the cost of that lot increases and the house you put on it goes up. If you upzone 300%, you're just turning up a rheostat on land prices and housing prices. You're doing absolutely nothing to be a responsible planner and trying to control the costs of housing. That's anathema.
Okay, I need an actual motion that has the points that you want the CPC to write about this plan or how it affects us. So I need either a couple people come up with a motion that you think is agreeable to all planning groups or the majority of planning groups that are here tonight, so that I can put this together, because we're running out of time. I've got one more presentation, so I don't want to cut that one short. So
Upgrading infrastructure citywide.
yeah, well, and we want to be.
So I would move.
Yes.
That the CPC support the college area planning group in its efforts to have a decent decent plan.
It represents a case study of the issue of the mismatch between proposed density and the realistically achievable infrastructure.
Yeah.
The mismatch between proposed density and reasonable infrastructure.
Realistically achievable.
And that, well, I keep hearing equity as an issue, but the issue I heard from the gentleman from Peninsula was, and that encourages the city not to upzone
Beyond the need,
beyond a demonstrated need of growth.
Can I add something? As this is a case study, the lack of engagement, your experience with planning department and the lack of engagement, I think is apropos to the problem as well, as we've all experienced.
They engage. The amount of information that was gathered during the engagement, that's, yeah, on point.
I would also like to point out, these are the CTAC maps from 2025, CTCAC maps for all of the communities. So the green stuff is the low opportunity zones. So this is the college area. You can see it's mostly green, low opportunity zones. This is Mira Mesa. They have one low opportunity zone. This is Claremont. They have one low opportunity zone. And this is University. They have no low opportunity zones. All of these areas got roughly 100% increase in their upzoning. We're getting 322% increase in low opportunity neighborhoods.
If I may.
Because this one isn't, this is the university.
Equity, and third and final point, equity needs to be addressed in terms of the distribution of new land use designation.
Okay, real quick, guys, since I'm gonna ask David, he's walking out, and Eric, or, sorry, David and Eric, could you two huddle real quick and come up with a motion that will, yeah, I think, you know, come up with a motion of what we need to do in order to support a lot of those things that you said. That'd be great. And you guys can huddle, and we'll suspend this action item, and I'll let the other presenter come up if that is, everybody's agreeable with that. Is that?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna suspend that and come back to that. And let those two go ahead, and then we're gonna move on to our last items. And this is Joseph. He's gonna come and talk to us really quick about digital billboards. Joseph is a former city planner and requested to talk about the city and electronic billboards.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Virgil. And I wanted to compliment all of you for donating your time and talent to the city of San Diego. Can you hear me back there? Okay, good. I wanted to bring to you a critical issue for San Diego, and that is the current consideration by the mayor and at least one of the council members of permitting digital electronic billboards in the city of San Diego. They are not currently allowed, and the electronic billboards would be capable of change about every 4 seconds. Currently, no billboards are allowed, and no digital electronic billboards are permitted. Now, I'm surprised that so little publicity has on this issue. I found only one news article, and that was in San Diego Union Tribune on 6/23/25. My name is Joe Flynn, and I work in the city of San Diego planning department for 38 years. And I was involved in the sign ordinance for San Diego, which is one of the premier sign ordinances in the U.S. Among my responsibilities were zoning administrator and sign board administrator. And I retired as deputy planning director. San Diego developed and adopted that sign ordinance, which included new billboards. That was challenged by the billboard industry, and the city successfully defended that ordinance all the way to the Supreme Court. One of our very own city attorneys did that. As San Diego first sign code administrator, I was responsible for administration in sign ordinance and including dealing with the billboard. The current process, which is considering changing the billboard regulation, is also unusual. The process is unusual because normally an idea for an ordinance change is referred to staff, city staff, for a technical report. They do the report, there's a background on it. from the issue. They bring it forward to one of the committees, the council committee. They have a public hearing with testimony. If there's a positive recommendation, it goes to the city council or public hearing and public testimony. This one cut short the whole process. The current consideration bypasses that staff. In addition, there's a premature discussion on how much money that change would generate for the city. We know that the city is in deep trouble with the budget, but there's always a question on what are we going to sell and is it worth it? So there's also part of that process. They discuss going to bundle this ordinance change. Bundle, read very same thing, because then they would package that into a group, and if it isn't enough to hit that, it's schedule this whole bundle of other regulations in the middle of December. Hopefully, a few other things on their mind, and it's the opportunity for public participation. I believe that San Diego should have an opportunity to review and embrace their opinion on this. And what better place to start than at the EPC. I included some, I copied some newspaper clippings, some history out of San Diego, and there were several objections billboards. Starting with Logan Jenkins, you may remember him, wonderful reporter, and this goes back to 1999. But he talks about the sign that you really objected to. That's the one at San Diego State, which is the billboard, and it is also electronic. How did it get there? San Diego State is a state entity. They do not have to follow the local regulations. It's quite simply, the question is, where did the 400-pound gorilla sleep? Wherever he wants to. That's what they did at the time. I have a master's program, a master's degree from state, and I'm ashamed of that one. But these issues, I made some copies of these, leave those with you. You can get a look at these. It's an issue that really screams for public attention. And this thing is, it's just whistling along so quick that it's the end of this current one news article. The memo says that Florida should begin negotiating relocation agreements currently on as municipal code amendments are being passed. That and they bring the negotiation. And don't know the timing is very fine people, but they're fine-tuned specialists. And the city of San Diego is always at a disadvantage because we have a general background to defend those individuals and private industry have one goal. Listen, good people, I like them, I don't like them. We just didn't always already agree. But it's an uneven negotiation I have to begin with, so it needs the voters. I think that the as my but I know you're running late, and I do very much appreciate the opportunity to as I said, I worked in the city for 38 years, been retired for a number of years, but this one, exactly.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Be careful. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much.
We can get it, we can deal with it. Other than Disneyland, changing in the area of second.
Yes.
Should I?
David, Eric, did you?
Yeah, we can move to this motion.
Okay.
Motion. CPC supports the college area letter based upon the following general principles. Density must be supported by adequate infrastructure that is reasonably achievable, proportionate and relevant to the actual housing need, and equitably distributed and not concentrated in low resource areas.
The second motion.
Okay, all right. Sounds good. Then I'll go ahead and let me get my sheet up for a vote. And this is item number 6, right? Yeah, college area. Okay, did everybody understand the motion? No need to repeat or, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and off the roll. If I missed anybody that joined on Zoom, let me know at the end. So as I call you, please give me your vote. Carmel Valley.
We don't have that. Yes.
They left. Oh, yes.
Oh, there.
You're- Okay. Choyos Valley and Canto. Yes. Claremont. I think they have.
They're on Zoom.
Yeah, no, I think he had to leave. I think it's on there.
Okay.
Okay, college area,
Yes, thank you.
eastern area,
Yes.
Greater Golden Hill,
Yes.
Kensington Talmadge,
Yes.
La Jolla,
Yes.
Linda Vista,
Yes.
Mira Mesa,
Yes.
Mission Beach.
Mission Valley.
Oh, sorry. Mission Valley.
Victoria, I could not hear what was read and asked to be reread. I didn't hear the motion.
Oh, sure. Okay, go ahead. David will read it again to you.
Thank you.
CPC supports the college area letter based upon the following general principles. Density must be supported by adequate infrastructure that is reasonably achievable, proportionate and relevant to the actual housing need, and equitably distributed and not concentrated in low resource areas.
Thank you very much. I vote yes. Mission Valley.
Thank you, Michelle. Navajo,
Yes.
Normal Heights,
Yes.
North Park,
Yes.
Ocean Beach.
Andrea on Zoom.
Oh, she's still there?
Yes. I vote yes. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Otay Mesa,
Yes.
Pacific Beach,
Yes.
Peninsula,
Yes.
Rancho Bernardo,
Yes.
Rancho Penasquitos.
Yes.
San Ysidro,
Yes.
Scripps Ranch is yes. Sarah Mesa,
Yes.
Skyline Paradise Hills,
Yes.
Torrey Pines,
Yes.
University,
Yes.
Uptown.
Yeah.
Okay, that's unanimous. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Keep in mind the city that everybody can't live in the city and go, period.
Okay, we're gonna move on to staff report, from Marlon.
Just real quick update, the coastal resilience master plan was adopted by city council on September 9. You'll remember that Julia Chase from our department came here and talked about the master plan and talked about some of the nature-based improvements to address sea level rise and a lot of the issues to address coastal resilience. And so, yeah, it was adopted. And the other update was that with regard to the upcoming Rancho Bernardo and Otay Mesa plan updates, we did receive grant funding through the SANDAG Smart Growth Implementation program to work on to fund those efforts. More news to come on that. We don't have anything lined up to detail.
You said the grant funding was.
Oh, yeah, we received it. We were awarded it.
Okay, thank you, Marlon. And David, will you email me the verbiage of that motion, or just give it? Thank you. I just realized I don't have it written down. Okay. And then we'll put that letter together and get it out to, I will contact college area and get your communication who it's going to specifically. Okay, other than that, as far as chair knows, the air show is coming up this weekend, so I hope you all attend. Other than that, I don't have anything, so we're at 8:13. You've got 2 minutes. Any CPC member comments that want to make any last minute? Yes.
I'd like to thank you, Mr. Flynn, for coming in.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn.
I would just like to reiterate what college area said, which was to show up October 9th at the planning commission.
Which is now in Mission Valley.
Yeah, Mission Valley, right? Is that your new office?
No, we were still down.
Oh, you're still.
That's DFT.
Oh, DSD, okay.
So if you can make it, it looks good, I think, to have more people.
Victoria, there's also the college area plan is coming before the park board on Thursday.
Okay, wait, hold on, Marcella, what?
The college area plan is coming before the park board on Thursday. So it's another opportunity to have your voices heard.
Yes, we will be there.
Thanks.
Marlon, what's the contract?
36. Senator?
It's on Mission Valley Road, I think it's like 30 Mission Valley Road, behind the rock, Mission Valley.
You all can Google it. Yeah.
The number is 36.
Lots of parking, yeah.
Can you still attend via Zoom?
Yeah.
Participate?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. All right, with that, everyone, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for coming.